So the Mishnah over here says as follows. So the person can go on Yom Tov and go to the Chinvani Halagiletz law, meaning the shopkeeper where you normally would go and buy from. By the way, it was an amazing story. I guess a couple of months ago now, you might have seen it. Sivan Rav Meir published it in our neighborhood on Rehov Sishkin. There is a shop, one of the makolets over there, and Friday afternoon, the person was in the makolet, wanted to lock up. He couldn't find the key. And he looks around, he couldn't find the key. He called up his, I don't know, brother, whatever, it's a family business. Called up and said the only person who had the key had traveled to Ashkelon. So he couldn't close the shop. He couldn't close up the shutters. So what did he do? Okay, it's about to be Shabbos. He hasn't got the key anywhere. So he left the shop open. Left the shop open. And there are many places where you leave the shop open like that. You come back on Motzei Shabbos, you find there's nothing left. But the amazing thing was, I don't know if he put a sign. I don't remember exactly the story. But the point was that nobody took any of the schora, and that people, even from the neighborhood, moved the pachim in France, that people wouldn't go and wouldn't steal things. It was quite an amazing story. Afterwards, he had a picture, and it became famous. So, but the moral of the story is don't lose the key when it's Friday afternoon before Shabbos. In any event, so we can't go buying and selling on Yom Tov or on Shabbos, right? The reason you can't do mekach or memkar essentially is a gzeira that you might come to write down. The Ramban by Parshat Emor talks about the different things that we can do on Shabbat that are Doraita, Rabbanan, and famous Ramban where he gives this whole description of Shabbat that you would keep Doraita but not Rabbanan, and all the shops would be open, everybody would be buying and selling, right? So there's no melacha of buying and selling, but there is an isur Rabbanan mekach or memka. But if it's done in such a way that it is not obviously there's no change of money, and you don't write anything down, and it's done in such a way that it's not clear, recognizable, that is done in a way of commerce, so it would be okay. So therefore, that's what our Mishnah says. You go to the shopkeeper where you normally buy, you have a tab or whatever. So you can say to him, give me eggs or give me nuts, right, in a certain number. Then you don't go and say, give me 3 kilos of flour. You say, go give me 5 eggs, whatever. Because that is, when you're asking for it in minyan, you're asking for a certain quantity. That's something that you would do. That's something a person would do within their house, and counting out how many eggs they have. And that's not clear, not immediately recognizable that is for mekach or memka. Okay? So that essentially is our Mishnah. So says the Gemara now, we expand on this din a little bit. It says Tan Rabbanan, Holech Adam etzel ro'eh ragil etzlo, ואומר לו תן לי גדי אחד, או טלה אחד. אצל טבח הרגיל אצלו, ואומר לי תן לי כף אחת, או ירח אחת. אצל פתם הרגיל אצלו, ואומר לי תן לי תור אחד, או גוזל אחד. אצל נחתום הרגיל אצלו, ואומר לו תן לי כיכר אחד, או גלוסקה אחת. ואצל חנווני הרגיל אצלו, ואומר לו תן לי 20 ביצים, או 50 אגוזים, 10 אפרסקין, ו5 רימונים, ואתרוג אחד. Okay, so you see the pattern. All these are different people one would go to. Again, all of these things are very clear. Well, not necessarily clear. It's not necessarily the language of Mekach or Memka. You're just saying, right, the person goes to the shepherd and says, give me one lamb, or he goes to the cook and he says, give me one piece of meat, or he goes to the person who raises birds and he says, give me one bird, or the baker and he says, give me one loaf or give me one roll, right? Or he goes to the shopkeeper, and that's just expanding on what we saw in our Mishnah. He says, give me 20 eggs, or 50 nuts, or 10 afal sakin, right, or 5 rimonim, etrog echad, etc. That he can do. Ubilvad shelo yazkir lo schum midah. So long as you don't mention what? You don't mention the size, I mean, the measurement. He says kav or kabayim. Because that, right, you're going to the shop, you're going to buy nuts, you say, give me a kilo of nuts, right? Nobody at home goes and measures out. So that is clear that that's a language of Mekach Memka. Rabbi Shimon ben Lazar Omer, Ubevad shelo yazkir lo schum mekach. So, meaning, even that you could do, but you just can't say, give me, 20 shekels of egozim, right? That's clear that is for the sake of mekach, and that's buying. Okay, Hadran alach en sadin. That takes us to the end of the parak. That's the third parak, and Bezrat Hashem, next time after Chagim, we'll pick up again with the fourth and the final parak of Masechet Beitza. I just share one quick anecdote. We mentioned, just the fruits. It reminded me. It goes in Farsakim, etc. So some of you may have noticed, those who were in Shul yesterday, I'm sure you were all in Shul yesterday, but those who were in Hanasi, so when the Baal Tokea said the bracha, right, Lishma Kol Shofar, and then he paused before Shechianu, he turned around to his bag and he pulled out something, and some people I saw were a little bit bemused. So he pulled out an afar samon that he had right, no avocados this year, but he pulled out an afar samon and he's put it in front of the bima. That was for the Shechianu. There is a machloket. There's a machloket in halacha, and there's a safek as to whether we can say the Shechianu on the second day, of Rosh Hashanah for the shofar. The Sfardim say no, the Ashkenazim say yes, but it's better to have in Beged Chadash or Pri Chadash. So normally, I think in many places the minhag is that the Baal Tokeh has a Beged Chadash. Our Baal Tokeh's minhag is to bring a new fruit. So that was the fruit that was sitting on the bin throughout davening. If people were wondering,
Does he? Okay. Did he have to eat it after the shofar blowing?
So that's very interesting as well. We have this by the second night when we say the shechianu on the fruit as well. You should eat it at some point. Meaning that there is a question halacha whether the shechianu goes when you eat the new fruit or whether you see the new fruit. Ideally, one should eat it as well. Okay.
I have one quick question on the. I have a quick question on the Gemara. If someone asks for like a big egg, is that considered measurement or no?
Seemingly not. That would seem to be okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Rabbi. Gemara Chasim Tov, everyone.
Gemara Chasim Tov.
Tov.